Ladies and gentlemen, nice meeting you again on this platform. My name is Tumusime Cohen, your geography teacher. Today, we are going to interact again, all senior threes, all senior fours. Last time, when we were in the rest of Africa, that is 273/2, what many of you know as geography paper 2. Paper 2. Our major focus was on climate, all factors affecting climate of Africa, and the characteristics. Today, we are still on the same topic. But before I take you back to that topic, we are going to remind ourselves of something little our teachers told us. And that is something concerning, I'm going to call it revision, before we continue with our topic. And our revision is majorly focusing on factors. Some teachers or books call them conditions. I know many of you have come across question papers for UNEB, or even end-of-term examinations, or mid-term examinations, or even end-of-week exams. And you've seen such a question saying, describe factors stroke conditions. They can be factors influencing something, let's say agriculture in Nigeria. It can be sugarcane growing in Natal province of South Africa, or it can be factors affecting or favoring the growing of wheat in the Canadian prairies of North America. Today, I want to remind you briefly, because I know in this lockdown of this funny pandemic, COVID-19, let me hope you're all washing your hands, you have forgotten. But I normally tell my students that whenever you come across such a question of description, describing factors, stroke conditions, one thing must ring into your mind, making your points qualified to be correct. And I've always encouraged my learners or students to use these qualifications. For example, the word presence. The word presence. Or you can instead say, for me, I heard the word presence, and you say, for me, I'm going to use the word existence. Again, you may say, I don't want the word existence. And for you say, I'm going to use the word there is. There are some learners who hate these words and they want to use there is. Now, I encourage my learners to use the word presence or existence or there is for physical factors. Physical factors. Somebody is wondering, what are these physical factors? You may have a factor like rainfall. Rainfall is a physical factor. Now, when you're using rainfall as your factor, you must qualify it with a better adjective. For instance, you can use the word heavy. You can also use the word moderate rainfall. So in brief, we'll say, presence of heavy rainfall has favored the growing of palm oil plantations in Nigeria. Or you can say, presence of moderate rainfall has favored the growing of crops in the Zambezi Plateau. So presence, then you accompany with a better adjective to describe the rainfall. Because if you say presence of rainfall, somebody will wonder, which type of rainfall? How much is the rainfall? Okay? You try to describe the point. Or you can talk about a point of water resources. I'm sampling out the physical factors you may talk about, only a few, because of time. Remember, we are going on with our topic of climate, but I want to first remind you of how we describe factors. Next time when I come, I'll talk about problems. The other time I talk about contributions, and we see how you can make geography water to drink during the UNEB. Now, another major point is water resources. Water resources. These are things like water bodies. Those may be lakes, rivers, or taps. You may have piped water being supplied in a given area for irrigation. So here, the better words you can use, you can say large water bodies. After telling the examiner presence of large water bodies, go ahead and tell this person the use of these water bodies in regard to the context. When I say context, I mean the topic you are dealing with. For instance, you may say presence of large water bodies, for example, Pacific Ocean near Vancouver Island in British Columbia has favored the transportation of timber to market centers. Or you can say presence of large water bodies like the Atlantic Ocean, which provide water for industries in South Africa. Or you can say presence of many. Some students don't like the word many. They want to be unique. They use the word several. Several. There are some students who also know other words like numerous, still meaning many. Numerous. So you say presence of many rivers and lakes. For example, River Niger in Nigeria providing water for irrigation purposes. Or you can say presence of several rivers in British Columbia. For example, River Skeena. For example, you can talk of River Fraser, River St. Thompson, which are used in floating of logs to the coast towns like Vancouver, like Victoria, for processing and further marketing of the product. I think that's enough for sampling on the physical factors. Allow me also to sample a few points on the human side. Now, when it comes to the human side or human factors, I have always encouraged my learners to use the word availability as a qualifier at the start before fixing in the adjective availability. By the way, there is something I've forgotten to tell you. Why do we use the word presence or availability? Let me give an example. You can't tell somebody that Lake Victoria is available in Kiboga. I'm talking about Uganda. You'll be deceiving yourself. Lake Victoria is present in Masaka, is present in Jinja, is present in Wakiso, is present in Busia, not available in Kiboga. You can't carry Lake Victoria in a bag and you take it to Masindi to make it available. It's a lie. So we say it is present where it is. You can't tell a Karamajong person from Moroto district that I'm going to make heavy rainfall available here. Maybe if you have magic. Do you believe in magic? I guess you don't. I guess you're confused. I'm lying. Well, so availability, how does it work on the human factors? Surely, you may be staying in Lagos. I know many of you know Lagos City. As you watch your movies on Mnet, or rather on Nigerian channels like E-Africa, you do watch a city called Lagos with your favorite musicians like D'banj. Do you like D'banj? I know you don't like D'banj. But when you're watching this Lagos City, you'll discover that they are rich men or rich investors, businessmen. But let me assure you, Lagos wasn't born a city, but has been made a city, meaning that you can borrow money from Abuja in Nigeria. I'm using Nigeria because I'm dealing with the rest of Africa. I know you also have your teachers of East African Geography, paper 1. But for us now, we're in paper 2, rest of Africa. It's where I'm talking about Abuja, Nigeria, Accra in Ghana. I'm talking about, Johannesburg. Some of you call it Joburg in South Africa, in spite of the current violence in South Africa. That is very bad. I condemn it. Please, xenophobia, no. Let's not destroy anything. But those are cities in the rest of Africa. And very soon I'll talk about those strikes in South Africa as a problem affecting industrial development in areas of the Witwatersrand, in areas of KwaZulu-Natal, etc. But for now, I'm talking about factors, availability. You can go and borrow money and make it available in your home area. Like right now, you're in the lockdown. If your mother or father is not doing any business, you can advise him, Muse. Some of you call them Muse, some of you dad, some of you call them senior, whatever. You can tell him, go and borrow some money from your friends. We start a small business at home. For example, you can go and buy tea, which is not packed at Igara Tea Estate in Bushenyi, or you can go to Kasakuti Estate and you buy that tea, you come home, you start packing it and sell it. But you can't pack it without capital. So therefore, our first example is capital on the human side. I'm almost winding up the revision because of time. So the point of capital, I encourage my students not to use words like money, because capital is not only money. Capital may be the knowledge. Capital may be your talent. I know some of you are footballers like me. Okay? Some of you are musicians. That may be capital. Some of you are good at telling stories. Even if they are lies, people enjoy and jump. Okay? Some of you are good at taking around tourists in Uganda, telling them stories. This bottle has lived for 500 years. The man who used it was called Mukabanga. Were you there? Stop deceiving your friends. Now, when you look at capital, I've said don't use money. You can use words like sufficient. Sufficient. The word sufficient means more than enough. Why do I discourage the word enough? I discourage it because it is not measurable, right? I know many of you, when you go for parties, they give you soda. They can give you Pepsi or Coca-Cola. I'm not advertising for them. I'm just telling you what is common. You find a man taking 10 bottles of Coca-Cola or Pepsi, and he says, it is not enough. But somebody takes only one sip, like this, and like, it's enough. Now, what is enough? Therefore, let's avoid using words which are not measurable. For example, you can use the word sufficient capital. Got from where? Got from the rich foreign investors. You all know that most African countries are developing. They are LODCs. The word LODC means less developed countries. Don't call them poor. The word poor means they have nothing. Now, you can use the word like large sums. Large sums of capital. After telling the examiner large sums of capital, tell him the use of the large sums of capital. You can say large sums of capital are available, used in purchasing items used, or you can say used in paying workers. That is all I had for you in our today's revision of factors describing. I have said that let's use the word presence or existence or there is as we are qualifying our points. And let's add adjectives. For example, I've talked about the factor of capital. We can add the word sufficient as the proper adjective describe that word. We can add the word large sums of capital to describe for the examiner and tell him the use. If you follow this video, I know you'll be revising as you pause it. Even if school resume, please revise this video. It will help you a lot in case you can't access me for consultation. So therefore, let's go on with our topic of climate. Right. So we've been looking at our revision on factors, but for now, because of time, I've promised you, in the next video also, I'll pick something else like contributions, problems, and we see the major hints they hint on while marking examinations at the National Center. That's UNEB. Now, last time we last met, we were looking at climate of Africa. I remember I defined for you the word climate as the average weather conditions of a place recorded over a long period of time. I guess you have it in your notes. And I talked about weather. That weather is a day-to-day atmospheric condition of a place recorded over a short period of time. It can even be 1 hour. It can even be a full day, right? I went ahead and reminded you of your days in nursery school where you could sing, today is rain, today, the whole day. They say, today is windy, today is chilly. I was asking my students of recent that what is chilly weather? They were like, for chilling. And they were right, by the way, because when the sun is very little, the coldness is very little, you chill around. I know some of you have nice shoes, canvas shoes. You have shorts, you put on your baseball, you get your selfie stick, and you hit because the weather is chilly. But let me assure you, if you want to get climate of a place, you must arrange weather of every day. You get an average of those conditions, and then you get the climate of the region. And by the way, climate does not cover a small place. Climate covers a very wide region. You can even say the climate of East Africa. You can even say the climate of the whole world. And you are very right, by the way. But you can't say the climate of Nigeria. You'll be a pure liar. I have seen some people who are not geographers deceiving their friends that today's climate is bad. That is a naked lie. Stop deceiving this world. Where are you heading? You can't say the climate of today, but you can say today's weather is not okay. I know some of you are going to be working at the airport very soon, maybe at Heathrow Airport in London. You'll even be seeing players of the Premier League going, but your work is to work on weather. But for us here in Africa, we don't have some conditions in Europe like snow. We only have snowy conditions in areas like mountains, which are so huge in East Africa here. For example, Mountain Rwenzori in Kasese, which is above the snow line. When I say snow line, I mean 4,600 meters above sea level. That is very high. You will start seeing snow. Why? When vapor rises, it will saturate at some point, what you call saturating level, but it will go beyond some meters where snow will start to be formed. When you go to Tanzania, you can go to a mountain called Kilimanjaro, and surely you'll see the same. When you go to Kenya, there's a mountain called Kenya. It also has snow on it. But Mountain Rwenzori may be not as high as those two mountains in Kenya and Tanzania, respectively, the Kilimanjaro and the Kenya, but because it is a block mountain, it has limited temperatures than Mountain Kilimanjaro and Kenya, which have volcanic pipes, which bring hot temperatures from deep the Earth's interior. Please, you can take this for your own geography and you enjoy yourself that Mountain Kenya and Kilimanjaro are volcanic, with volcanic pipes, which bring in the hot temperatures, melting most of the ice, unlike Mountain Rwenzori, which is a block mountain with snow. So that was last time. I went ahead and talked about the 6 major climatic regions of Africa. We even drew a map of Africa where I showed you regions like equatorial climate. I showed you savanna climate, which was covering most parts of Africa. I showed you the high veld or temperate deep in South Africa at the last tip of Africa. I showed you the Mediterranean climate in the extreme northern part of Africa. I showed you the desert region or climate. Some of you call it the Sahel region, the Namib Desert, among others. So I went ahead and picked a case study. Whatever I'm saying was in the last video, I'm going now to connect to today's work. We talked about equatorial climatic regions, the characteristics, and one of them, if I recall very well, was talking about the heavy rainfall received. We talked about the different seasons, wet and dry. If you recall very well, we went ahead and drew a statistical method called a bar and line graph. Please, if you have forgotten how to draw a bar and line graph, I request you to kindly go to the previous video of the first lesson of Geography Paper 2 and look at how we draw a bar and line graph. Because whether you want or you don't want, a bar and line graph must appear somewhere in your examinations, and you scoop all the marks. The marks can range between 8 to 12. You can imagine missing such a mark in a final examination. Therefore, what is my point today? My point today is that after drawing the table, the graph we drew last time, there are some calculations which follow. For example, calculating the mean temperature. Calculating the mean temperature. I know many of you know the word mean as average. And whenever you hear the word average, in most cases, we talk about adding or summing up different items divided by the number of items. Now for this particular one, we are going to say sum, the formula, sum of mean monthly temperature. Mean monthly temperature of the year divided by the 12th month. Now, when you divide by the 12th month, some of you, I don't know, are you still using sticks to count or you're using a calculator? Because the figures may be too big. For instance, you can see here, I'm going to be using our table here, and as I point at them and you see, if you look at my table, we have a part or section for the month of the year, where we have January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, because there are 12 months in a year. Then we have also a part or segment for temperature in degrees centigrade. Now, these units are going to be very important in regard to our calculations, as you're going to see. Now, temperature, you can look at the table. Then rainfall in millimeters. They are all going to be applied somewhere. Yeah. So for now, if you look at temperature, we are going to add all of them. Having written our formula here, sum of mean monthly temperature of the year divided by the 12th month. So I'm going to add 23 for January, plus 23 for Feb, plus 23 for March, plus 22 for April, plus 22 for May, plus 22 for June, plus 21 for July, plus 22 for August, plus 22 for September, plus 22 for October, plus 22 for November, plus 23 for December. You divide all of them by the 12th month. Then you can pick your calculator and you press in your calculator. But having pressed my calculator here, I have got 267 divided by 12. I don't know what you've got on your calculators or what you're going to get. Then I have got I have got 22.25 degrees centigrade as my answer. But because many of you know mathematics, there are some things you say with your mathematics teacher. Me, I don't know them a lot. They use the word approximately. Approximately. Me, I don't know mathematics. I'm a geography teacher. But also me, let me become a mathematician. I also want to be happy like you. Now, this is an equal sign, but I can break it like this. I can break it and say, if I round off 22.25, it will become 22 degrees centigrade. And that is my answer. That is the mean monthly temperature. Now, we also have calculating the temperature range. Calculating the temperature range. Calculating the temperature range. I know still many of you are mathematicians. Whenever you see the word range, what comes into your mind? To me, what comes to my mind is getting the highest figure minus the smallest figure. Now, before I give you the formula for calculating the mean, rather the temperature range, are you aware that it is not better to use the word high for temperature? I'm sorry if your teacher told you to use the word high, but allow me as Tumusima Cohen, a geography teacher with vast experience, of course, I'm not showing off, but that's a fact. Let's avoid using the word high. Why? High is not measurable. You'll find a very young child of 1 year calling a small stool at home that the stool is very high, ma'am, I can't pick tea. Now, what will the tallest man in the whole world say? For him, he can even touch the roof. It is not measurable. But me, I would suggest we say hottest mean monthly temperature. Hottest mean monthly temperature minus the coolest mean monthly temperature. I want to be a little bit slow because I know if you use this time wisely and you go through this video, you will never regret. Please, I encourage you all students, don't lose hope because of this pandemic. It is not the end of life. By the way, for your own information, it is not for the first time such a tragedy is happening to this world. Even some time back in the 1818, there were diseases like the Spanish flu, where people could put on masks. So it is just a way, it's going to go. So please use this time very wisely. Let me repeat again. I've said, after drawing your bar and line graph, surely they will accompany some questions. And they will say, calculate the temperature range. And I have told you that let's avoid using the word high because high is not measurable. And let's avoid using the word lowest. Lowest, what is lowest? There are some people who are going deep in the underground. Now, what is lowest? So let's use the word coolest, mean monthly temperature. And surely, when we look at this table of hours critically, from January to December, temperature-wise, you will discover that the hottest temperature was experienced in January, February, March, December, and the temperature was 23 degrees. So let me put it here, 23 degrees Celsius. Some of you call it centigrade, but I think it's also correct, right? Somebody was asking me of recent, why do you put this small zero on top. I said you research also, but this is a circle. It may be talking about something like, I don't know, let me stop there. You may be scared because I'm a great physician. I don't want to scare with great physics. Let me scare with geography only. So, if you look at this table critically again, the coolest temperature for this particular equatorial climate, not every climatic region, as we are going to see in our next episode, you'll discover that 21 degrees centigrade, which was experienced in the month of July, the one we are in right now. How do you feel at home there in terms of temperature? Are you feeling so hot? Are you using your refrigerator? I know many of you are going to the shops around to buy ice water because it's cold ice. But is it cold for you? By the way, are you aware that when you are feeling so thirsty, it is not advisable to take cold things? You are supposed to take warm things. In your research during the lockdown, I want you to ask your people that is it true that people of the mountain Rwenzori take tea, which is very hot, during lunchtime to quench the thirst? Are you aware? That's biology. I won't scare with biology. Let me scare with geography. Now, you will subtract 21 degrees centigrade. If you're keen with my calculations, I'm slow but sure, and surely I have put the units already. 23 degrees centigrade minus 21 degrees centigrade. And surely, even if I don't know mathematics, if you get 23, okay, you get your sticks. 1, 2, 3, you're wasting time. You just get your calculator and press very fast. 23 minus 21. Surely, for me, I'm seeing 2. What are you seeing? I'm seeing 2 degrees. Therefore, the temperature range for this particular station A was or is 2 degrees centigrade. Now, we also have another question here, and that is calculating mean annual rainfall. Calculating mean annual rainfall. Now, if you look at this statement here, the word mean is still average, right? And if you look at the word annual means a year, right? So, listen carefully here, dear student who is observing this video critically or watching this video, whatever you can use the English you want. During the previous minutes of our lesson, I talked about calculating the mean temperature, and I was dividing by 12. But here, I'm going to get the sum. I'm going to get the sum of the rainfall received in a month for 12 months. The sum of rainfall for 12 months of the year. The sum of rainfall for the 12 months received in a year. And surely here, I'm going to divide it by 1. I know somebody who is watching this video is asking him or herself, why 1? Come here, I stone you. Don't stone me. The rainfall averages are already worked on per month, unlike the temperature, which is calculated after the 12th month. Therefore, for rainfall, I'm dividing by 1. I want you, as a serious student, when you go back to your school, I'm not saying you're going to beat your teacher altogether. Don't come even and beat me. Some of you are my students. Don't come with a gun to shoot me. Are we together? You just come and ask me, Master, you said we divide by 1. Why? I will answer you. But you can also do your research. Don't be just reluctant at home. By the way, yesterday, I was moving down in Wakiso district town. I met a student of senior 2. I asked him, how are books? The boy told me, Vao nawe in a local language. I said, hey, dear student, come on. What is a vao nawe? He said, master, books are in lockdown. We are in money. Let me assure you, you will never ever make the whole money in this world and complete it. Money is money. The more you get money, the more you want more money. But please, don't ignore your books because of money. So, you can go and revise. So, when you are doing your research, you can look at this temperature, rainfall. Now, if you look at the table of rainfall there, we have 40 millimeters for January, we have 70 for February, we have 150 for March, we have 230. I think this was the heaviest amount of rainfall in April. We also have 205 plus 115 for June plus 65 for July. The rains reduce in July and June in equatorial climatic regions. I know many of you are staying in areas around Lake Victoria in Uganda. You'll discover that in June, literally, the rains were very little. And some people are harvesting their crops, some people are making bricks, and they're earning a lot of money. Have you made some bricks for yourself, or you are underlooking jobs? If you underlook jobs, you'll die poor, I'm telling you. I'm not cursing you, that's a fact. Now, that is June and July, the rains are little. If you look at August, the rains are starting to go up, plus September, 195 millimeters of rainfall. Then 225, oh my God, for August. Now, if you look at this table and the graph we drew last time, you'll discover that in April, let me use a pointer, not a cane, but a pointer. If you look at April, the rains are high, 230, meaning that even the bar on your graph was a bit up than other bars. Then when you go to October, the rains are also up, meaning that this type of climate, equatorial, has got two peaks of rainfall, what you call double maxima, double peaks, 2 peaks of rainfall. That is equatorial climate. Now, we can add on November towards where you get your grasshoppers. Some of you are called Manamasaka. You have grasshoppers, which is good because they have proteins, plus 150. Then you add on December when you're enjoying your meat and rice. That is 50. After adding them up, you divide by 1 because it is rainfall, unlike temperature. Now, with some experience I have in teaching this paper, Geography Part 2, Rest of Africa, I have discovered that students make a mistake while calculating mean and rainfall. They end up dividing by 12 instead of 1. I've told you 12 is for temperature, not rainfall, right? I think you've picked that. After adding all this, let me use my calculator here very fast. For me, I have got 1,575 millimeters per year. You even add the word per year. I don't know what you've got on your calculator, but for me, mine has given me 1,575 millimeters per year. Please, dear students and all viewers of this platform, maybe a researcher, if you forget to put these units, your answer is not correct. So, students, you can also meet some examinations which say, after calculating the mean and rainfall, they say, calculate the total rainfall to confuse you. Total rainfall is the same like this one. You just add, you don't divide. You get the same answer and you pass highly. Let me repeat for clarity. I have said, in case they ask you to calculate total rainfall, and at the same time, in the same paper or exam, they ask you to calculate the mean and rainfall, don't be confused. For mean annual rainfall, add all the rainfall for the whole year, divide by 1. For total rainfall, you add all the rainfall, don't divide by anything, but still the answer will be the same. Put the word millimeter. You'll be a superb student. By the way, let me give you some hope. Every year, my students pass this paper highly. I can't mention their names because you'll be scared. They're your friends and neighbors. But the fact is, they pass it highly. They pass these calculations. I have always told my students that if you hate maps, you love graphs, you'll make marks and even forget about stress of books. Therefore, I have another question common on this kind of table, and that is, they can say, let me write like this, because I'm teaching you. I'm not a paper. I'm not your neighbor. Yeah, I'm a teacher. Describing the climate of the station above. I have avoided saying calculating the climate of station A because it is what they gave us in the previous video. Not really. I have said describing the climate of the station above. I don't know which station they'll put in your examination of end of term, remedial, I don't know. But any table they bring and they tell you calculate the climate of the station above, what you do is very simple. You critically look at this table they have given you. Look at the table very well. For instance, for me, as I'm looking at this table, I have discovered that the hottest month are January with 23, February with 23, March with 23, and December with 23. And surely, I have got my first mark. So let me write my answer. I say, I'm describing the climate of station above. Yeah? And I'm saying the hottest month are, we have got them together, that is January, February, March, and December, Go ahead, tell the person looking at your work that the hottest month are January, February, March, and December with 23 degrees centigrade. You qualify to get a tick, which can move up to your home. After, we want to get another answer here. Let me use my point again. If you look at this table very well, you'll discover that besides January, February, March, and December being the hottest, we also have our dear friend July. July has 21, meaning that July is the coolest month. So we say the coolest month is July with 21 degrees centigrade. You can see how easy it is to describe the climate of a place. Now, besides looking at our table to get answers, but let me first use our table. If you look at this table critically, you will discover that the month of April received the heaviest rainfall. Therefore, we say the month of April, the month of April, received the heaviest rainfall of 230 millimeters. Don't forget and put degrees because it's now rainfall, which is measured in millimeters. Briefly, to remind you something small which you covered some time back, you will discover that all weather elements like rainfall, atmospheric pressure, cloud cover, they all have different instruments. For instance, rainfall, we use the rain gauge. They will ask you in Geog Paper 1, how is rainfall measured at a weather station? Or you can say, describe the process of how rainfall is recorded and measured at the weather station. 8 marks. You say, 8 marks for what? For describing. And it's very simple. Please, you can do revision on that. And when rainfall is measured, surely the units must be in millimeters. Now, we are busy describing the climate of the station above. So we can go ahead and say, the table is here, and surely, as you've already seen, we are getting our descriptions from the table itself, and perhaps the calculations we've just made. So, for instance, we said the hottest months are January, February, March. From the table, I've talked about the rainfall. I've talked about April having the heaviest rainfall. Now, I can talk about the opposite of the heaviest. And I say, the lowest rainfall was received go to your table, please. Look at the lowest rainfall. That is January. In January, totaling 40 millimeters. Now, I'm talking about a month of the year and the amount of rainfall and what was received. I can go ahead and talk about the temperature range. I can say, let me come here and write here. The station has. So I've said the station has a small temperature range. You should recall we were calculating our temperature range where we got the hottest temperature minus the coolest temperature. Remember, I have told you or advised you, I'm not forcing you, not to use the word high temperature because the word high is not measurable, while the word low is not also measurable, but the word coolest and hottest are reasonable and measurable. So, a small temperature range of, you pick from your calculations, 2 degrees centigrade. Go ahead, open brackets. Tell the examiner, I go by saying 23 degrees centigrade minus 21 degrees centigrade. You're okay to go. Go ahead and say, the station receives heavy rainfall totaling 1,575 millimeters. It is also correct. Go ahead and tell the examiner about the 2-month April, which received the heavy rainfall, and then October with the heavy rainfall still. So you can say The station has two rainfall peaks. That is April and in October. Surely, even when you go to our graphs we drew last time, that is a bar and line graph, whereby we got a bar and line graph on the same graph paper. We put rainfall beneath I mean down, then we moved ahead. After skipping a centimeter or two, we drew a freezing line on the 0 point, then we included our temperature. You all recall that. You can look at the previous video and you try to trace back. You discover that surely what I'm saying is correct. Then you can go ahead and describe. You discover that this station A has got two seasons of rain, That is, it has a dry and wet. Now, the dry seasons in geography, we call them summers. Now, if they are summers, if you look at, for instance, January, February, March, in spite of the temperatures being hot, even some rainfall is risky. When it comes to June, July, it's a dry season still because temperatures are hot. But in spite of the temperatures being hot, the rainfall is still heavy, meaning that summers are both wet and hot. I've told you summers are meaning dry season, right? And I'm saying are both wet. Wet is for the rainfall, right? Then hot for the temperatures. So briefly, you can add more research and add more descriptions. Having looked at my guide, now even let's see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've given you 8. Surely those are what they can ask for in exams, but still you can add them up to 12. You can look for more facts from the table and describe it more. So I can, before I go to this video, I can go ahead and give you some other subsections of this topic. So we have another heading with us, and the heading is factors that lead to equatorial climate. I'm going to make a few summaries with notes for you here. But if you look at this type of climate around the Democratic Republic of Congo region, some of you call it DRC. When we move towards areas of Cameroon, the coastal areas of West Africa, that is Cameroon, that is Ivory Coast, you can talk of areas like Benin, you will discover that the climate is equatorial. But what are these factors? When I say factors, I mean reasons why something happens the way it is. Some time back, I got a privilege to teach in a senior 1 class. I was very happy. I also got a privilege. I went and talked to primary pupils of social studies. SST, I don't know if you did SST. Now we're in geography, the study of man and his environment.
They asked me a question. Master, why are we black here in Africa? Yet the whites are white in Europe. I told them, we are like this because of some factors. They asked me, which factors? I told them, the climate. Africa is astride the equator, which has hot temperatures. So the human skin of an African tries to adapt to the environment of the hot temperatures by having the content of the skin turn dark or black because of the content in the skin of a person. And sure will become black because of the sun, of the hot temperatures, but can absorb them well because of the climate. And now, what could be some of the factors that lead to equatorial climate? I'm going to use some unique words from English. I know you know them because you're superstars. Right. So because of time today, we can close it here. Okay, we can close it here. But before I sum up this lesson, next time we shall look at the factors that lead to equatorial climate. But before, allow me to read for you. Surely today, it's been a pleasure talking to you again in this video. I have been supplementing or adding something little to what we learned last time, where we talked about the equatorial climate. And we even went ahead and drew this table of station A. We went ahead and drew a bar and line graph. Because in geography, we like putting everything on graphs to try to have deeper explanation to an ordinary mind or person to understand more. Then I've told you that after drawing the bar and line graph, you must have some calculations there, like calculating mean annual temperature range and mean rainfall, and I've told the details and nitty-gritties of that. And surely I have gone ahead describing for you the climate of station A using the table and the graph you drew. And surely it's been a nice lesson. So when you in your free time do this assignment and say this is homework. You can call it COVID work if you don't fear COVID. So you can say, describe the factors that lead to equatorial climate. That is your assignment. Describe the factors that lead to equatorial climate in the rest of Africa. Please do this work with your friends from other schools and avoid being close to each other. You distance. Have a nice time. Tumsimu kwenu. We sign out.